Hello and welcome back to the Remembering Tuscola webcast. I'm David Porter. I'm here with Mike Carroll and Bill Englehart, two of Tuscola's most distinguished,
revered, honored.
I was going to say handsomeness, but I just couldn't sell it.
Yeah. Well, you can't sell anything you just said about us. We're old. We were here at the founding of Tuscola.
Yeah, 1859.
Yeah.
Was it 1859?
I think so.
Give or take.
That's when it came the town of Tuscola. Probably someone went through before that. You know, I was always told that somehow or the other, one of Grandpa Rice's, that'd be Doug and Gordon's grandpa, lived out there in the Huber house, you know, that his ancestor came up here exploring with Daniel Boone.
We had Daniel stay overnight, had supper with him.
Yeah. Daniel Boone was a cousin to one of my direct ancestors.
Yeah.
God, you're related to everyone.
Yeah, the Boone. You have an annual Boone reunion you go to in Kentucky, don't you, every year?
I don't go to the Boone, but I'm actually reading a book on my ancestor that was Daniel's cousin.
Yeah, it's a when they put the Illinois Central down, nobody wanted this swampland, the tall grass swampland. So when they had to actually every other section they had to give away. They had to give away these sections of land to developers. So that's why you got every 8 miles you got Pasodum, you got Tolono, you got Champaign, you got Rantoul. It's just they tried to get, then they threw off a railroad crossing at each one. And eventually some speculators came in and sold the stuff. So we're here just we're a product of capitalism.
Well, they had to
government fraud.
I had
sounds familiar.
Yes.
I had read somewhere else that there's another reason for the spacing of the towns. One may be on replenishing water for the steam engines, but it's also about the distance you could take a load of corn in a day by oxen or horse. So they had to have places where people could travel to take their farm products.
At the time though, David, not to disagree, but at the time when they laid the railroad out, there wasn't that much farmland. They had to come drain the swamp. They had.
Yeah, they did have to. Well, in this area anyway.
I know down here they said it was the blue stem grass. It was about 8 foot tall, up to 10 foot tall. And they said it was swampy and malarial, and they said the mosquitoes so big, if you shot it twice, you could possibly get it to knock it down. But anyway, the Irishmen who worked on the railroad, once the railroad was built, they stopped and helped drain the ditch. They used shovels and stuff and help drain the water, drain the swamp, not the ditch. They created ditches.
They're cleaning up the ditch.
They're even today, 200 some years or 170 years later, we're still draining the swamp. They're out here still. The ditches get silted up, and they got to come dig out the thing.
I wonder how many dogs they got out.
I don't know.
Well, a little history. We've been cleaning out our Arcola office and moving some of the stuff to the Tuscola newspaper office. One of the early newspapers in Tuscola was called the Douglas County Shield. And Douglas County Shield was a Democrat newspaper. And when Abraham Lincoln won the election, Tuscola went Republican. It's been Republican ever since. Arcola was more Democrat. So there was Colonel Blackwell came up, brought a team of oxen to Tuscola and got the equipment from the Douglas County Shield, the press and other equipment, and he hauled it down to Arcola, and that became the Arcola Record, which is currently the oldest continuously operating newspaper in the county. Well, some of the stuff that we had at the Arcola office, I think, may have come from that move from the Douglas County Shield because it's old enough that it's and one of them is we've got these big well they're type tables, type cabinets, but they got big thick stone tops on them.
Kind of like a Gutenberg press.
Well, it's not a press, but it would have may have been used for lithography. But it certainly gives you a big, heavy workspace because they dealt, the equipment was heavy with metal, uh, metal type and wood type and that sort of thing. Anyway, I just moved one of those tables back into the Tuscola office, so stop by sometime and check that out. I think it's old enough that it may have been from the. There's no way to prove it was from the Douglas County Shield, but I think it's old enough that it might have been.
Well, if you want to throw it away, just go sit outside the high school.
I don't want to throw it away. I just moved it. It was very heavy to move, and but no, the high school is they're with the renovation they're doing. They're cleaning out old desks and chairs and tables, and they'll get new stuff. They're doing a little spring cleaning along with the renovation, and I don't know. We put in a call to the superintendent. Apparently, he's on vacation. I thought he had just had a vacation, but apparently he's not in the office for another week or so. And to find out what the deal is and what the policies are, it looks like a lot of that stuff's just going into a dumpster, and people have been going out and getting it. I don't know what the legality is.
Well, if you throw
that.
it in a dumpster, you can consider it abandoned. And now if it's sitting on the ground, it's not yet abandoned. You're not sure. But I know today I went by and they looked like tables people might want, and chairs, still good chairs. They were throwing them in the dumpster, so they're throwing them away. They're not. I think if they set everything out, people would pick it up. It'd be gone.
I have a feeling that the stuff out on the ground is maybe they're saying, "Oh, someone might want this. So let's leave this out here for."
Well, it was yesterday. They had the dumpster full with legs sticking up, chicken bones,
and the road blocked,
and stuff on the ground because the dumpster was full. They emptied the dumpster this morning, and they're out there. Eric was out there throwing the stuff on the ground back into the dumpster. So it's obviously all dumpster. They're throwing everything away.
And I don't know if they open that up to the public to say, come get what you want, if that creates a logistics problem or a liability problem or a fair notice problem. But anyway, it's going in the dumpster and people are going out and getting some of it. And I'm not going to tell you you should go out and get it, but I'm just saying some people are.
Well, if I went dumpster diving, you have to put a couple ropes around me in a helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
To pull me back out once I dove in.
I heard there was a desk out there with carving on it that said, Mike loves Becky.
Yeah. We burned that. Yeah, it's sad. It's historic. I remember, and this is important how schools deal with their historical objects. Some years ago, trophies in the trophy case just disappeared. I know that Bill here as principal who's very sentimental about the history and was part of the history. He tried to save as much as he could, but a lot of them just disappeared. And then about 20 years ago, evidently, an ex-principal just took all the trophies and put them in the library and said, come get them. Give us what you think it's worth. And my neighbor, who's tighter than bark on a tree, ran out and gave $5 for the Paris Holiday basketball trophy. Bill and I both played on that team, and revere. It's an icon. And he gave it to me for Christmas, and I've given it to Bill now because I don't have any kids, and Bill does, but I don't. They'll care about it. But the point was, that's what they thought of their trophies. They just threw them away. But Unity, about the same time, same era back then, Unity and I think Monticello were out of room for trophies, and they actually auctioned them off, advertised it, took bids, and I think they picked up $20,000. And I know there are trophies out there. For example, the 1960 Tuscola football trophy. I know guys. I bet Carl Court, who was the head of Battelle University and president of Furman University, I bet Carl would give $10,000 and not blink. Stuff's invaluable to some people. It's just a lack of sensitivity when you just pitch historical documents from your school and not give people a chance to either bid on them or kick them. In my opinion, that's a lack of sensitivity and empathy.
Well, and one man's junk is another man's treasure. Sometimes you look at something and think, well, this is beat up and it's worn out and we want new. And then someone else looks at it and says, well, that's distressed. That's the look I like.
But if you're a steward of a public body, I know at the courthouse, we couldn't, there were we were no longer wanted a chair or a desk. My judge's chair was probably an original judge's chair, 100 and some years old. Frank sat in it. I have a bad back. I had to get a modern lumbar chair. And so we took it down and there was a big debate. We can't throw it away. It's too important. We just can't let somebody in the courthouse take it home. That's not fair. It's public property. So right. You normally sell surplus property or you put it down and we put, I think, that thing in the DIR room or GR room. But yeah, you're a fiduciary trustee of public property, and that's different than throwing your own junk out if you don't like it.
Yeah, but certainly if you've got a 40-year-old plastic chair that the one leg is broken and the plastic is cracked, you got to be able to throw that in the dumpster.
Sure, but yeah, sure. But what if it's a perfectly good plastic chair that you cost $75-$85 to buy?
Right, it's just not going to match the new stuff you're buying. So you want everything to match, and you want it to be new. I think there, should be a mechanism to let people know, hey, you want this chair? Come get it. So anyway,
it's always sad to see the passing of time and the objects of history that you were accustomed to. Every time a building is torn down, I remember I went to my I think it was 40th class year reunion, and I caught a raft. I got really criticized because I was part of a corporation that tore down Southward Southward was already torn down. But we put up a subdivision there, and a lot of the classmates were just sad that Southward was no longer there. And I said, I didn't tear it down. I didn't close it. We just built.
You were building on holy ground.
We built on holy ground. It's like, what is it? Some kind of a burial ground. You can never use it.
That's how important the schools are to a small community.
Yeah, it's the touchstone. And you'll see Arcola. Arcola is much more
traditional.
In my opinion, Arcola is much more traditional. Believes in their culture more deeply than Tuscola, and you'll see that high school is still there, 100 and some years old, and they've had every reason and every opportunity to tear it down and build a new school, and they don't do it. You run the Arcola paper, Dave. What do you think?
Well, they've been struggling for.
What would Arcola do with this surplus property, David?
I'll give you an example. They're replacing banners in the gymnasium because they're doing some renovation, and some of the banners are worn out. They're threadbare. They don't look good. They're not consistent in size and look. And
those football banners.
Yeah. They've been struggling.
But Terry Miller looks the same way.
They've been struggling for a year on how to replace them because if a banner had first and last names on it, do they put first and last names on it again, or do they make it consistent? Do they make it look like the old one? Because of how it used to look before, that is a primary driver on
they're
how
sensitive. They're sensitive to their town's history, to what it means to the students who went through the school. That's just being sensitive to history and other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know Terry Miller's about as frayed and torn up as those banners, and if he's listening, I hope he doesn't come beat me up, but
maybe they can clone him.
Maybe they can clone Terry. God, I hope they can. That guy was a monster.
Well, I think it was his discus record got broken this
Yeah,
year.
I know.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and he showed up to the kids' graduation party.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
I've told this story before, and I just love telling it.
Myers.
Yeah, I love this story, and it's a classic Terry Miller. I was throwing the discus against him. Don Forty and I threw the discus in high school. We were juniors. I wasn't very good. I I could I could come in fifth in every event. That was it. But I threw the discus against Terry at Mattoon. He uncorked one, a perfect throw that went over this big fence and hit the side of a house, crashed into the side of a house and chipped it. They didn't know what to do. They measured to the fence. They got a guy in a car that drove all the way around, and they measured from the fence to the bottom of the house. And Terry's out there yelling, but it hit up in the middle of the house.
Yeah.
So his throw of 183 was probably about 190. But they said, Terry, we can't figure the calculus. No, we measure to the house and that's it.
It's like figuring Mickey Mantle's home run.
So I think we had Terry and Jim Monahan was on one of our podcasts, and I try to brag on Terry because he's really a great friend and I really like Terry. And I was bragging about this throw. And of course, what does Terry do? He said, "Oh, Carol," he said, Friday before at the regionals in practice, I threw one over the trees at our goal and hit a car, threw it over 200 feet. And I ran to Avery, the old coach at the time. I said, start the track meet. He said, the wind's just right. He said, Terry, I can't start the track meet just for you to throw a discus. So I tried to brag on him throwing one 183 feet, and he's got to come up and say he threw it over 200. You can't one up Terry.
That's neat that he went to that Myers boys graduation.
Listen, these Arcola guys are sentimental. Bill and I were invited down to Arcola when Bob Avery, they had a memorial, just memorial ceremony for Bob Avery, who was the famous coach of their team that went to the Sweet 16 in 61 or 2, and one of their beloved coaches. And Bill and I were invited. The place was packed. And the entire 1962, 63, 64, we were the only Tuscola guys there. And a couple of speakers stood up and said, look what Bob Avery meant. There's even 2 Tuscola guys here. They looked over at us. But these guys live and breathe purple. They really do.
Bob Avery's family has given a lot of money to the school.
Well, that scoreboard, the new lights and scoreboards, I think, for the Avery.
I'm quite certain, I haven't looked it up, but I'm quite certain they've given more money to that school than Bob Avery ever made in a year working.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Well, with football game a couple of years ago, I mean, I was impressed with the scoreboard, and the lights were really modern halogen lights, and they said that was largely Bob Avery money. That's something else they do. I mean, they do support it. So Arcola's been a good, but Arcola's smaller. I've always worried about Tuscola as it gets bigger and bigger. We're on the borderline of, I don't want to say being cosmopolitan, but compared to Newman, Atwood, we always used to be really small towns, and everybody was super proud of their town. Bill, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Every town had its sports. The town spun around its high school and its grade school, and the kids just loved the town.
And the characters.
And I always wondered, as Tuscola got bigger and closer to Champaign, it became more of a bedroom community for a lot of people. It just, there's something invisible, some invisible line there when you lose that. I don't think we've done it yet. I still feel it, especially when the track team and the kids are doing well in something. I still feel the community spirit, but there is this sense of getting to a certain size. Maybe Muhammad's there. You just get a little too big, a little bit too bedroom community. And but Arcola still got it in spades, and I think we do too. But I just don't want to lose it.
A broomcorn palace? That would be interesting.
Yeah. What would Tuscola build? A great big metal.
Right now, I don't know. They're throwing everything away.
We could melt that into a broomcorn palace.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Do you have pictures for us?
I got some pictures.
I'm sure we bored everyone else.
We bored everyone to death, but you know what? We're talking history. We're talking history.
History's good.
That's the old mayor, isn't it? Isn't that? No, I don't know if that's the mayor. Is that Snyder?
Boy, no, this is some sort of an event at the high school, I would suppose, but I don't recognize these people.
Well,
goodness, do you have names on that?
This one's
I
familiar.
don't know. I didn't bring my phone in. I'd have to go to the.
Oh, I see.
I'd have to switch over to the internet.
Snyder.
It does, doesn't it?
The one on the left.
You think that's Clarence?
I think the guy getting the plaque. I can't believe I'm saying this. Looks like a young Clarence Snyder.
I don't think Clarence went to Tuscola, did he?
No, but he could be. He was mayor way back when. And there
Yeah.
it looks like Gail Cunningham on the left, but I can't tell. That's a toughie.
We got the white bottom tie.
Yeah, we got the look. We got the look. The gal on the right. I don't know.
Hang on just a second. Let me go back to Facebook.
Well, that's Bill
Class of
Engel.
74, Greg Scuda and Keith Nader with teacher Mr. Riley and Mrs. Kepi.
74?
Eileen Kepi. That was Eileen Kepi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who were the guys again? Scuda?
Greg Scuda and Keith Nader.
That was Chuck's younger brother.
Yeah, boy, that doesn't look like his younger brother.
Well, Scuda went on to Hall of Fame. Is that the Scuda went on to?
That's Greg. He's in the Hall of Fame.
What's he? Dentist, optometrist.
Optometrist, I thought.
I would not recognize Scuda.
By the way, recognize some of these.
Go backwards one more.
These we can get, yeah.
That table's gone. I saw that table in the trash today.
I never heard of that male teacher there.
No, that is the board of directors at the old
First National.
No, they took over after First National went under.
Well, we know who they are.
Paul Flock and Mike Rogers on the bottom. You know this guy up in the upper right?
No, I don't.
That was the CEO of
the bank.
And the old president of Eastern.
Oh, yeah. Marvin?
Yeah, no. Dan Marvin? Yeah, that's Dan
Marvin.
Doug?
Yeah. Doug McCumber. That's liberal buyers.
Stanley Cross. That was when Doug was president of, when First National Bank went under, was eventually bought up by First Mid. No, wait a minute. Yeah, where was First Mid's headquarters?
Mattoon.
I know, but where was the bank in Tuscola?
I don't remember. I know where it is now.
I'm trying to think where that photo was taken at. Where's that photo taken at?
Doesn't look like Tuscola to me. Any room that I've ever been in. And I've been in boardrooms.
But that was the successor to the old First National Bank, I believe. Oh, there's Rockin' Rodney.
Rockin' Rodney's. This is a class reunion.
Yeah.
I see Dan Hance in the back.
Jeff Reynolds, I see in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. Next to Reynolds is Eric Hastings.
And there's Eric's third one in.
John Kennedy, Eric Hastings.
The fourth one's
left.
Is that
there's Todd Kearns.
Is that Hank Groves there next to Dan?
Yes, it is. The fifth one in is Hank Groves. The fourth one in might be. I'm trying to get the fourth one. I can't quite get him.
And maybe Bodo in the back.
Yeah,
Danny Bodo.
Slide that over. We can't see this. Slide that over a little bit more.
Oh man, there's one of my favorites.
Slide it over there. Now blow it up a little bit if you can. There you go.
Lori Ferguson on the end in the front. Is that Fran next to her?
Yeah.
Lori Studnicka behind her.
Studnicka. Right in the middle, if you move it just a little bit, is one. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but that's Chris Clevenance right there.
Let me ask you this. Second row, fourth one in. Isn't that Dr. Mondul's?
Yeah, Vilma.
Is that Vilma?
Vilma.
And so
that's Chris right there.
And bottom row, Ferguson, Hines. And the fifth one in is Clevenance. Let's keep on going. Oh, there's Teeters. There's Jim and
that's
what was her married name?
McAllister.
Lisa.
Oh, Linda. There's Linda Brown.
Linda Brown's the next one. Third from the left, second row. is Linda Brown, and
Cleveland.
that's Cleveland is that's oh, she sells for country companies, doesn't she?
Bishop?
No,
No. She's secretary.
no, this one, second one in.
Oh, I don't know. Don't know her.
Front row. Wait a minute. Right. Go back a little bit left. I think what year this is.
82.
Guys,
Class of
82.
82. I think
Yeah.
it's probably a 5-year reunion. There's
Chris
a,
taught at Arcola.
there's
She
a good
taught
chance
math.
that I took this picture. Well, there's Paul McCartney back here on the way back on
Yeah.
the left.
Yeah. They played there at the fifth reunion.
And this one on the end might kind of looks like my brother Greg, but I'm not sure if it is or not.
All
He
the
may have
way.
been in the Navy at this time.
So you're thinking that top right is your brother.
Could be. And
Go
over
ahead.
here on the far right, there's you can see my first car,
Dave, I'll be back in a second.
Oh, your hearse?
my hearse.
Yeah. We're going to take a time out if you want.
Somebody's at the door.
Someone's at the door.
So where were we?
You know, it's the guy was at the door. He's gone.
Good. That's
Always good to get rid of him.
if he comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we were on this class of 82 class
Right.
reunion.
So
These
they've
were a
got
year
4
older than
years
me.
in, so they're in their late 50s.
Is that John's? That fourth from the upper left, is that one of the John's boys?
I don't think there was a Johns in that class.
One of John's in
No.
that class.
No.
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay.
Once again, forgive us if we can't remember all
I
of them.
apologize. There they are.
Yeah.
40 years later.
Yeah.
This was the all-male class of 42. I'm just kidding. Left down the bottom, you can blow up a little bit. That's Raymond Owens in there about. That's Bill McCarty. Let's see. 1, 2,
Corky
3.
Waters is second.
Corky Waters second. Fourth one's Bill McCarty. Fifth one's Raymond Owens. Sixth is Bob Hastings.
Yeah, that's Bob.
Keep on going. Raymond Lee Jr., Keith Tingley, Waldo Ball,
Harold Shuey, Roy Toomey, Chuck Burr.
one more. Who's that? Oh, that's Albert Teeters, isn't it?
Must
Is this,
be. I don't know.
is this
Albert,
Rotary?
Yeah, I'll go back
I
to the
don't
back.
remember Albert being in.
Go all the way to the back. We'll go to the second row now. All the way the other way. Go the other way.
I'll go the other way. You start with the left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'll let Bill do the second row.
The second one in is Gene Hall.
That is Gene. That's
Yeah. This is Dwayne Bruce, fourth one
fourth
in.
one is a real tall one.
Bill Alexander.
Sixth one in is Bill Alexander, ran the dry cleaner.
Then
that's
skip
Rothgeb.
over. That's John Rothgeb, Ed Schultz.
Eighth one in is Johnny Rothgeb, Ed Schultz, Denny Dietrich.
Got a penny?
Got a penny. Glenn Thompson ran the tasty free.
Orson Moorhead, skip over.
Who's this one in between Glenn Thompson?
Well, I can't tell.
Okay. Orson Moorhead, and then that's Powell, Tom Powell.
That's Tom Powell, and this is God. He worked at.
Is that God? I always wanted to see.
No, it's not. I should have said, gosh, that's somebody.
Okay.
I remember he worked at.
Top row. We'll go right to left this time. Top row. Second one. Top row. Second one in is Boyd Wiesner.
Yeah, that's Boyd.
Third one in.
Oh, that's McQueen.
Yeah. Fifth one in is Joe Wills. Look at Jumpin' Joe.
I thought it was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Well, he used to sing, do impersonations of Elvis.
Harold Zane is next to Joe, Al Carson, and Bill Huber.
Bob Hausman.
Ron Thompson. Don't know.
Don't know. Jim Lamb.
Yes, Jim Lamb.
Jim Lamb on Brooks.
Bill Rogers.
Bill Rogers.
I'll be darned. Now I got to tell you something.
That's a group of heavy hitters.
If kids today
But they name that like we
could name like that, I mean, this is many years later.
No, this looks
See,
like
we knew Tuscola seniors or elders, so to speak, because they were at activities.
this was the backbone of the town.
Yeah.
Many leaders. This is back in the 60s, you think?
I think it's probably 60s.
By the haircuts, I would guess 60s, if not 50s.
If late 50s, maybe. Roy Toomey was mayor in the late 50s when the community building
Go
was
back
built.
in on the first row. Let's take a peek at this again. When did Corky die?
In the 60s.
Is that Corky?
Yeah, let's see. Mike was, you know, I don't,
You think that's
you know what? That might have been the late 50s. These guys, Bill McCarty and Raymond Owens, look pretty young. That's John Smith next to.
Yeah, John Smith of Smith Shoe, and
I mean,
look at Bob.
Bob's pretty young there.
This might be late 50s. 59.
Yeah, this late 50s.
Johnny Rothgap's still around.
Dietrich looks like he's in high school.
Dietrich graduated in 50, I think, 49,
Yeah.
50, 51. Yeah. Bob Hausman. When was Bob sheriff? Back in the 50s?
Bob was sheriff with the murder.
Oh, yeah. But Joe Wills, look how young Joe's still kicking. How old is Joe now? 95?
Probably about 95.
Yeah. Al Carson's down in Florida. Bill's dad's still alive.
He is?
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Well, I haven't talked to Bill in a while, but the last time I talked to Bill, I think his dad was still in Florida. Yeah.
Golly.
That was a year. That was a reunion a year or so ago.
Look how young Bill Huber looks.
Yes, sirree, bud.
Oh, he had a flat top.
Well, they were all rotary back then. Look at that Bill. Go in on Bill Alexander right there. Next, right
which
there with the
one is?
mustache.
That is his school superintendent's granddad.
He was the father. Quite a family. Lived in that little house just south of Casey's. They had 3 boys, 2 girls or 3 girls. Two I know of. And I lived next door here to the tall gentleman was Mr. Bruce. Sold insurance, I think.
Yes, he did.
Who's this next to? Who's between Mr. Hall had a jewelry store downtown. And I'm trying to think who's between Mr. Hall and Mr. Bruce.
I don't know.
Yeah, we should know this guy at the end here too. Buchanan?
Roger?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Jim Lamb, top row, third one in, Jim Lamb. Owned Mary Kay, they owned the Brookside. That was the one my dad was in 1950.
58.
58, that blew up.
Bill Rogers, I wouldn't have recognized him from this picture, but I can see it in the mouth now.
Yeah.
Second one from the left and the back.
Oh, yeah.
Third one, I was going to say when Brookside blew up, I was in the 5th grade. That would have been 58 or 9. Jim Lamb was by the south side door. And Francis Cole was turning on the gas stove back in that area and blew Jim over against Emma Maris's garage. And Francis Cole was blown out, and Dad went straight up and came back down. Went up through the rafters, saw heaven briefly. Yeah, we were probably 7th, 8th graders, right? Young.
This year?
Yeah.
We might have even been younger than that.
So when you're Evan, your grandson Evan is in the 8th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he's 76 years old.
Would he know the business people?
And looking at a picture of us, would he know?
Oh, no.
Would he know?
No, I don't believe so. It's just, it was a smaller world, even though there were more people and more kids in school and everything. Don't you think? We knew everyone.
Well, Tuscola was...
we went into these people's shops and businesses.
By 58, 59, Tuscola was still a pretty much like all small towns, self-contained community.
Yeah.
The interstate wasn't built until the 60s. It was still a big deal to pile in your car and go to Mattoon on a Friday or Decatur.
Yeah, I can tell you where these people were.
Every one of them.
Yeah, we would go uptown, go into businesses.
Keith Fingley was national president of ABC, lived across the street from us. Waldo Ball worked at DECOP. One of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet is Waldo Ball.
Yes, he was.
Roy Toomey was a great mayor. Great mayor. I can tell you about their kids.
Yeah.
You talk about stoking memories. That was it.
That was a good one.
Here's the Tuscola Industrial Arts shop after they cleaned it out. David, you're shaking your head. You don't agree with me?
Now, I wonder if this is not the machine shop where Kenny Hoag's business is now.
Well, they used to sell Buicks in there, and then they transferred one.
That's a
Well,
machine.
and you know where Paul Freebaron's office was a tar shop too at one time.
Was
Well,
it?
this was across the street from Freebaron's and down about. They actually had a recessed garage in there, Bill, where I know they repaired cars and sold some used cars. And I think you're right. I think they
Pot-belly stove. It's some kind of machine shop. Lots of
Oh, eventually, Kenny Culbertson's dad had a machine shop up there.
Bill and I
here's
have talked here.
some files and vices, and over on the
Bill and
other
I
side
talked-
you got
Bill
a
and I
lot of
talked-
calipers.
Bill and I have talked long and hard about buying an empty shell of a building downtown and finding a pot-belly stove
And a pool table.
and a pop machine and a coffee thing and just spending the winter down there. Look at the pulleys up there.
Yeah, look, yeah, all the pull and these leather belts.
Yeah,
You know, this is a leather belt down here running this equipment.
that could be the west end of Kenny Hoag's. That could be where the dining room is going to be.
Yeah.
It even looks like the ceiling still looks. If you go in there and look at the ceiling now, it looks like it.
Bet those cross beams were walnut.
Well, they look pretty thick. They look dimensional, don't they?
Man.
Because you see going out to Tuscola hardware sale, it's like a 4x12 walnut beam, span 20 feet. That'll be $6,000.
Yeah, the old electrical when the wires were run separately with these
Those are
insulators.
those are knob and tube. Those things.
I think that's what they call the good old days.
Yeah, you get electrocuted back in those days. That's good old days.
Yeah.
Lose some weight.
Can't read the calendar.
There you go.
Can you
Look,
read
there's
it?
Santa Claus.
Yeah. Well, he worked there. He worked there in December. He worked there.
It's kind of funny. What's Santa Claus doing in there?
Look at the light bulb hanging down from it.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Oh, that's great.
Where was OSHA back in those days?
Yeah.
Where was the progressives protecting the worker?
I bet these workers had on colored jackets with hard hats.
Well, look at that. That looks like a pool table.
The bottom of it sure does, doesn't it?
But it looks like a pocket over here on the left.
Yeah, look at those legs, those French curl legs.
Where's Jake?
You know, we're up, Bill. Well, they could have used the top of it. They probably put some on top. What do you think this is something a plumber would do too, making all the, something automotive. You see automotive stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd also, plumbing had to be hand bent, all that stuff they did.
It looks like a punch of some sort, a drill press or a punch.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's just a general metalworking or if it's basically plumbing or automotive.
You got this big lever here that you pull.
Just lower it down and just go right through it.
I think there's something in a Tuscola history book on machine works.
Well, look at the drills.
Yeah.
Look at the drills for the drill press, for the punch. Well, but that's, once again, everything was, that could be for anything. Like I say, you could be HVAC, could be plumbing, could be automotive, could be almost anything. Everything was self-fabricated back then.
Look at that wheel there. Yeah, when you blow this up and start looking at the individual pieces, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Where are they now? Well, look at that. They got a handrail for some reason, I guess. Look on the left. Go on the left a little bit. I haven't seen this stuff on the left. Looks like brake drums. I don't know what those are.
Well, this looks like a roller of some sort, like maybe fabricating sheet metal or something.
I was looking on the ground down there. I don't know if those are brake drums. What are those? Tractor wells? Tractor wheel?
I have no idea.
Well, then up here on the wall, you got, oops.
There's a story to be told here with this old
there.
You got, over here on the wall, you got a bunch of calipers and.
Yeah. Wow. David, did you get any responses to this on your?
No, he doesn't have his phone with you.
Oh, you don't have your phone with you.
I got someone just asked a question on it, um, speculating, want to know if it's maybe Bruce Teeter's shop,
Oh, you got me.
but I don't know.
Well, you know what? We'd have to talk to someone like Ruth Rogers, Bob Rogers.
It's interesting.
That is interesting. Okay, let's take a look. See. Uh, now, God, that looks like Ronnie Smith's dad.
Mhm.
Ronnie Smith was in my class. That looks like his dad on the far right. And in the middle of this picture, she sure looks like a foreign exchange student that we had at Tuscola.
Why would you say that?
Because she was from the Philippines. That girl looks like Priscilla Kiwana. I think that was her name.
Priscilla Kiwana?
I think so. What's that sign say right there in the window?
It's Villa Grove's Ag Day.
There's almost a date there.
Um,
It's hats.
August 15th, 19th. Well, there's a auction, maybe a Bill Huber
This will
auction
get
ad
it.
over here.
92. 1992.
Yeah, that's a Huber
That's what I
auction
thought. I
sale
thought this looked
bill.
about 92.
And looks like this is the newspaper office.
Oh boy. There's Althea, the wonderful, beautiful Althea Deaver on the lower
School board.
school board.
Oh boy.
Bob Reeder, my Gail Reeder classmate, Trotz Reeder, wonderful.
A.E. Sonny Kleiss.
Bob was school nurse, Sonny Kleiss. Bob
Travis was in the back.
Al Bories.
Don Chappell and Carl Connor.
Carl Connor.
Whoa.
Whoa. This is late 70s, I'd say.
Well,
70s.
Sonny was, he was president of the board when I was hired in 79.
Yeah, 78 to 80. This is probably the board.
Mr. Reeder was on the board for
Bob was a
ever.
pillar, farmer, conservative thinker, really protected the tax dollar. So did Bob Travis, a lot of common sense. They didn't mind asserting themselves in the financial matters of the school.
No, they did not.
Several of these people were still, several of these were still in the school board in the 80s when I started working in the newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carl's wearing the popular leisure suit.
And I don't remember his hair like that. He had a flat top.
Yeah, he looked like one of the Larry, Joe, and Moe there.
Carl lived to be over 90.
That leisure suit reminds me of being on a golf trip down near New Orleans. We went in one night to eat, and I wanted to go eat at Galatoire's. I'd eaten there before. And you have to wear a suit and a tie at Galatoire's. And Orville Fry had a leisure suit just like that. And he said, "This is good enough for them." I said, "No, they won't let you in." He said, I'm a bank vice president, and this is the way we dress now. So we go to Galatoire's, and they kick us out. They won't let us in.
Hey, move the picture over just a shade so we can see Travis.
Bob's got the white belt.
Yeah.
Hey. Bob's a perfect example of a 1959, I believe, Tuscola grad, played football, Kenny Snyder, that rough bunch. Bob farmed out Westridge, east of town. Bob's just a solid Mr. Tuscola. And wonderful board member, right?
Yes, he was. And when he pointed his finger at you and said, "That's what we hired you to do," you get it.
Bob was a most valuable player. He was a strong guy.
He was direct.
Albert.
I thought a lot of it.
His mom was Alberta. His dad was Leo.
Yeah.
His sister married
Nance or married Larry Williams.
Larry Williams.
Yeah. No.
We're forgetting names now.
Well, we forgot to David. We have to tell you the truth. We had a little forgetful experience.
Just coming in today.
Just coming in the house today.
I jumped out of my car and left it running. So Bill was laughing at me, and then Bill comes inside and remembers he forgot his glasses. And you forgot your phone.
I forgot my phone. Yeah.
Leave it to the old people.
Yeah. That was a great picture.
I really appreciated that picture.
That was wonderful.
That was a wonderful group of individuals.
You couldn't beat Althea Deaver. After her husband died, she just had
very sweet lady.
She had to hitch it up, and she was a beautiful woman. She had to hitch it up, and
Al Voorhees was my bitty basketball coach, and he was my little league all-star coach.
Well, I pitched GI League baseball back in the late '60s, and Gary Maneely and Al were the pitchers, and Bernie, I'll think his name, Billman was a pitcher.
Oh, Vern Billman, yeah.
But Al used to be a pitcher. He was an old two-topless guy, basketball player. And I threw just a 90-mile-an-hour fastballs all I had. And Al taught me the junk. He taught me the slider, the changeup, the palm ball, and how to move around the mound. He just knew it. He had a lot of wisdom.
Heck of a brick mason.
He could lay some bricks, couldn't he?
Man.
Al was a good guy. There's Dixon, I think, and Delbert Graham.
Delbert Graham.
Another David.
Stalwart of the community.
David, you just don't, maybe you do, but Bill, I just can't tell you how nice a guy someone like Delbert Graham was. My dad worked for him all those years. Delbert, they were just so humane back there. If you got sick, stay home. If your wife's sick, go home. They just treated people decently.
There's a plaque as you walk into the stairs to the library out front in memory of Delbert Grimm, who was on the library board for many years.
Yeah, he's just the sweetest guy.
He was a wonderful guy.
A lot of these people had kids that were my age. Delbert's son, Lee, was my age.
Patty,
Al Borey's son, Neil, was in my class.
Patty Grimm was in my class, a wonderful gal. That's Jim Dixon, by the way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The photo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, David, those guys were bigger than life back then. Okay, this looks like people that this looks like a group of people Bill's going to identify for me.
This is Mrs. Kepi again, in the front row left. So this is chorus.
What year is this?
This is long after Mrs. Van Boris and 90, long after us.
90, 92? Mm-hmm. Oh, the bell bottoms. Oh, come on. There ought to be something ought to jump out here.
Here's a nice looking woman. Gee, man.
This might be the Newman class of 92.
No.
Oh, that looks like Slaughter to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right next to him is, is that an Auden? Third row from the right.
God, I can't tell.
Could be.
We can't.
Got any names?
Hold on. Wait a minute. I just saw, who's that girl right there?
Well, nobody can see you pointing.
Oh, that's right.
Can you see us pointing, Dave?
No, I can't see it.
Second girl from the right, second row. Bill thinks he's a magician. The whole world sees his finger.
Well, that's a Travis.
That's a Travis. That's Bob's daughter.
Sure, that's Tony.
Let me see if I've got any names on this one.
Geez, that drives me nuts when I can't think of the names.
It drives me nuts when you can't because I don't know them.
Kathy Clapper says class of 78 and 79.
Well, put it back up there and then we.
Yeah,
you can't. Oh, go ahead and read it off. I know you can't do both.
Well, Danny Matthews says Tracy Maxie Geiler looks giddy. Then tagged in it is Kathy Smith, Marty Stewart, Quinones, Tracy White, Sandra Horn. So they're not ID.
Go back to it again. Let's see if we see Tracy Maxey who looks giddy. Well, that'd be in the middle row. Is that Tracy? 1, 2, 3. Is that? Yeah, I think the third one in from the left after the teacher is zero in on that one. Is that Tracy? That looks like Tracy Maxey.
Could be. Yeah.
1, 2, 3 in from the teacher. And Quino sounds like your foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that does look like Travis. There we go. There's Orville again, who doesn't like ties. He's at least got a sports jacket on now.
Presenting an FFA award at the banquet.
There's Jim Dixon sitting down there. Orville was the ag lending loan officer for Tuscola National Bank under Bill McCarty, so he would do the FFA award.
Don't recognize the young man.
No. Well, that desk is gone.
And so are those girls.
Is that a Kalmar?
I think that's a Kalmar, and I think they've got
This is the girl from another.
Aaron Kalmar and Dee Dee Moody Williams.
Yeah.
That's Dee Dee?
Yeah, she was a Hornet cheerleader, a freshman.
Huh.
Looks like looking at a yearbook, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's my life mask.
Yeah.
That's actually your death mask. We're gonna give it to you as a gift.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out what the room is
Well, this is the clay modeling room.
because they didn't have a room like this at the.
It looks like it's back in the egg shop or something.
Well,
Wooder used to
they didn't have a
do
room like that in
firing
the
down
ag
there.
shop.
Yeah, that looks like it's in the basement somewhere.
I don't recognize that room at all.
Yeah.
I don't recognize him.
But we did have some names on this one. Cliff Walker, class of '74, and
Don't know.
but
Who's the other one?
But that's not at the high school.
No. No.
There's Hop Connor, second one from the left.
Well, yeah, that's because his son's going to be an Eagle Scout.
Oh, an Eagle Scout.
That's Amos.
Jimmy Connor.
Amos Albritton on the left, Hop Connor, Hop's wife, Jimmy, and there's Sidey Jansen, my old Baptist minister, Sidey Jansen. He took Joe Caldwell and I just emailed Joe there today, and he talked about the time he and I had a football offer at the University of Pennsylvania, and he drove us out there. And we visited a whole bunch of schools. And actually wound up going to a Philly game in old Connie Mack Stadium. And we sat underneath the game of the week on Saturday. Pee Wee Reese and Dizzy Dean.
Oh my God!
They brought beers up.
Beer up.
They opened the door, take it in, and beer cans fell down, and people sat below it. I think Dizzy was a fairly heavy drinker. But yeah, that's old Hoppy.
Oh, Beth.
There we go.
Oh boy, now this is good. That's Ed Slice with the pipe, and that's Steve Hettinger.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Back in the white tie.
Boy, oh boy.
Look at that hair.
Look at the hair.
We'd die for that hair today.
He would die for it. Great picture.
Yeah. Easy Ed.
Yeah. Great picture.
This is Bob Pierce.
Bob Pierce, yeah. Bob Pierce, yeah.
Retired teacher and a key member of the band Strings Attached.
Yes. He played at the Vault a couple of times.
Yeah, Bob's always loved his banjo.
That's Kelly Williams next to him. And that's Kalmar.
Yeah, that's
and this is a Cleveland in front of Kelly Williams.
Yeah, that's Jeff Cleveland.
Jeff Cleveland. Keep sliding right.
Is that a pan call there next to Cleveland? That Mark, maybe?
Don't know.
Slide right a little bit and then blow it up.
I started teaching at East Prairie the year after this because I had Frank Kalmar and Jeff Cleveland in my first sixth grade class. Little girl second from the left front row is Reby Ross.
Yep, that's a Ross. This looks like is this a Colbecker here? The blonde?
Oh, yeah.
That's Sandy. That's Sandy Colbecker.
And some of these others look familiar, but I'm just not sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, Yeah, the next year they would, that's Beth, is that Beth Hunt?
with the overalls. Could be.
Oh, geez, yeah, I can't think. I just can't. That's a Bennett right there, kneeling down with glasses on.
Beth was starts with an M. Maggio. Beth Maggio.
No,
you're thinking of?
No.
Or Beth Hunt.
I'm saying Beth Hunt.
Okay. The old married names throw us off.
Mm-hmm. Bob's was a terrific teacher, science. He must have had a student teacher that year.
Who's down here helping him? Who's the gal?
Must have been a student teacher.
Well, there's Rich, isn't that?
Yeah,
isn't that
that's Daryl.
Daryl Rich right there sitting closest to us on the left. And then is that Tony Hausman next time?
It looks like him.
Daryl Rich, great basketball player.
That's his brother up there, isn't that
Is that Kirk? On the opposite side? I don't know.
We didn't have Daryl this year for any of our basketball games.
When I pitched the I-League ball, Daryl and Kirk's dad, Tommy, was my catcher. Tommy was one of the toughest guys in the world. Tommy would not put on shin guards. It took too much time.
Marilyn Moody says Daryl Rich, Tony Hasman, and Phil Lewis. And Gail Huber says, and Kirk Rich. And
Yeah.
Kevin Connor says, is that Cliff Ponder next to Phil Lewis? Question mark. And
well, they're saying
says no.
Well, they're saying
Phil Lewis is maybe.
Phil Lewis is saying that Phil Lewis is in the middle of the one facing us.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the one on the far right? The only one I don't know. Tommy Rich, his dad cut meat for the old Myers meat there across the south side of the tracks. Tough as a piece of steel. Tommy was raised hard. He would catch with no shin guards. And I remember if I got wild and walked a couple guys, I'd get 2 or 3 balls in a row, and Tommy would walk out halfway to the mound, kind of just look at me, and I'd say, I got it, Tommy. I'd throw one more ball. Tommy would walk out about 3/4 away and throw the ball as hard as he could at me and tore my glove off. I mean, my glove just. And he was letting me know if I do it again, he's going to beat me up. Well, there's Gary Cooper and the Hanging Tree was being played that day.
Wow.
Is that Gene Hall?
I think it is.
That's right across the street from Gene. Gene Hall had a jewelry store right across from the corner of the Strand, west corner of the Strand across the street. And who's that to the right of Gene there?
I don't know. I see Young Electric.
Young Electric's right across there next to the Strand.
Hey, we had parking meters back then.
Well, Tuscola had a long history of merchants complained about nobody could come to their store because people parked all day, so they put parking meters in. Then they complained people wouldn't come because it cost money to put money in the parking meters. They cut them off, put them back on, cut them off, put them back on.
I wonder if these were Libman brooms.
Yeah.
Libman was in Tuscola back in the 50s and 60s. Can't read writing.
Well, my uncle Dean used to make brooms there south of the railroad tracks. What's the building CIPS owns it now? Across south of the McCumber building, there was a broom. He made.
That's right, there was, wasn't there?
40s and early 50s. Yeah, he made brooms there, and it might have been.
I learned of that.
Might have been a Lipman company.
Hey, Beck.
You okay?
What year did Janine's dad die? He died suddenly. Seems like he died suddenly when we were in high school.
His daughter, Mr. Hall's daughter, Janine, was in Becky and Bill's class and married Mark Toomey, who was the son of the mayor back in the Roy Toomey back in the 60s, wasn't he? Late 60s.
Late 50s, early 60s. Yeah. He was also head of the gas company or whatever, too.
Yeah.
Roy was. Okay.
I can name these.
It's your class.
Yep.
Is that Dana Stinger on the left?
This is a media communications class. That's Dana Stinger on the left. Then Scott Douglas, Scott Day, Lena Weatherford Hill, Don Benson, Scott Martin, and over here on the right is me.
What a handsome lad.
I
You
think
had a
that's,
beard?
In high school,
yeah,
they didn't whack you around.
that was
Boy, I thought you'd already graduated.
Zero in, David. Looks like someone bloodied your eye there. Zero in on yourself.
yeah, I don't know what's going on with my eye.
Slide a little bit. Did you have the pink eye, the stink eye then?
I don't know, winking at somebody maybe, I don't know.
Maybe that's probably it.
Blinking, blinking, stinking.
Might have been Jenny up in the stands or something.
Scotty
That's,
Day, 44. Look at old Scotty.
That was, I think that's my Chub Connor for Sheriff hat. And the
Well,
shirt
yeah.
is from the Courier Cafe in Urbana. Joe Farlow, my classmate, worked up there and gave me that shirt. And I don't know why Lena and Buddy are wearing the same jersey. I think that's Buddy's football jersey.
Well, Buddy got around.
Yeah,
At least his jersey got around.
I think the jersey did. But looks like Dawn and Scott Douglas are wearing matching shirts too.
Yeah, you guys had a weird class. Well, was that after the community building fire? Maybe. What is that?
No, that's one of the schools being, that's the old school being torn down, I believe. If you come down and go out, it looks like to me look at the backdrop here. What is that? Look at the front here. This is an entrance, right?
Well, let's look over the turned right a
What
little.
is this?
This looks like a gas pump over here.
Yeah, it is.
Go back again, go the other direction. I'm wondering, it had to be something on the edge of town or nothing behind it. All I can think of is the beach house.
It was wood.
Well, the later beach house was brick, but it would have burned in 1919, I think, somewhere around 1910, 1919.
Anybody know what this is?
Later. I have no idea what this is.
Out near DeKalb or something?
Let's see if we got any guesses over here on the.
What confuses me is the background.
Yeah, it's on the edge of town somewhere, down near the hospital, the old glass factory.
Might be down on. Well, I was going to say 36.
Well, what old building was the 36? They're all
one before our time that they tore down.
I have no idea. Recognize anybody in this picture?
Oh boy.
No, I don't see anyone I know.
Yeah. Really? Let me blow it up a little bit. You see anybody you know in this picture?
That's Caleb Engelhardt.
Boy, I'll tell you what,
That is Caleb Engelhardt. Poor Caleb.
Hey, Beck, come here and look at this.
Look at this picture of Caleb. Go ahead and blow that one up.
Is
that Caleb?
That is wow.
Oh my gosh.
Poor
it
Caleb.
Really does look like him now.
Caleb, might as well go ahead and get the gun now.
Just so people know, that is Bill Engelhardt.
Gee, man.
That is Judge Broach.
Rick Broach.
That's Jim Clark.
He was state attorney at the time. Great. Jim Clark.
Oh, man. Behind Jim Clark, I see Becky Wetzel. Let's see here. We got a lot of kids here. Sometimes I can tell.
Let's do left or right down here. Left or right first row. You know who they are?
That's Nick. It looks like Nick Price. Maybe Johnny Nooner, who I see now because his son plays baseball for Caleb. Someone's got their eyes shut. Man, oh man, oh man. Broach looks a little different. So is Jimmy Clark's president of the Willow Grove School Board. Can't tell you who that is. God, can't tell you who that is.
I'm guessing this was a DARE program.
It was DARE. Uh, that's Jeannie.
Second row, right to
Jeannie
left.
Petrie. Second, yeah.
Second row, right to left.
Second girl is Jeannie Petrie, it looks like. That's in the back. I don't recognize the fellow on the far right. Third one in is Josh Irwin, who was killed in the motorcycle
wreck.
Yeah. Keep going. Boy, that looks like a Lidl on the back far left.
Who's this second row left?
That's Oaks, I think. See Oaks girl. Boy, oh boy. I wasn't teaching. I was principal back then. Johnny Chambers.
Just passed away probably
short time ago.
2-3 months ago.
Yeah, hasn't been long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brother Chet.
Very recent.
Brother Chet was a couple years older than me. And
Chet.
Recognize anybody in this picture?
Oh
my gosh.
My gosh. That's back before I developed bulimia.
Well, I questioned myself whether to include this, but I saw a picture of Bill. I saw this Mike Carroll. But
that's actually
Mike,
Homer. That's Homer. That's my dad, Homer.
The important thing, Mike, is you've lost that weight. You look better today than you did here.
Yeah, diabetes is a wonderful thing.
That's Mike Daimler.
Crime.
This was the city of Tuscola was trying to develop a golf course, and we were selling lots. And there was a citizens group led by Mike Daimler, and we were there to answer public questions. And on the left was a guy from Alltech. Forget his name. Did the engineering. Mike was up there as head of the citizens group. Next to me on my left, I'm looking at is Bill Tate, former Illinois football great, played with Bill Huber, most valuable player in the 1947, 48, 49 big Rose Bowl championship. And he was president of Blue Tea. There I was, city attorney. There's Mike Klein, our engineer from Hannum, Wagle and Klein. We were answering questions about the proposed golf course at the community building.
And they were apparently got rained on or something.
No, that was rotten egg stuff. They were throwing stuff at us, tomatoes and stuff, and it stuck. Okay. Mike Waters on the left.
Not Mike. No. Not Mike. Gosh darn, I saw these guys play. I can't think. Big. Phil Waters.
I meant Phil Waters.
Is that Rick Smith?
Rick Smith. Huber ought to be in here somewhere.
Boy, this one here just unbelievable how they change. Just can't grab a hold of
Sanderson, who just passed.
That's Steve Sanderson.
Steve Sanderson passed away last year. And Huber was on that team, wasn't he? This was Bill Burris.
Rudy was. Oh yeah, this is a team that got upset.
73, 4, 5.
70. Yeah, they got upset.
They should have gone to state.
Yeah, they were a good team.
They got beat by St. Joe, I think, up at St. Joe.
Kevin Connor says Phil Waters, Rick Smith, Bill McCarty, and Steve Sanderson.
Bill McCarty.
That's Billy.
That's Billy McCarty. Sorry, we didn't recognize you, Billy.
That's the last one.
That's the last picture.
Good kids. Bill Burris was the coach then. Bill Burris taught grade school basketball to Ingo and I.
Yeah.
And then we wound up getting to play golf with Bill for 30, 40 years.
Miss him.
Miss him a lot. Probably could be in the Hall of Fame. I'm thinking the Tuscola coaches that ought to be in the Hall of Fame. I think Bucko got in, I think his cousin Ed got Bucko in. But I think Burris ought to be in there. Is Kincaid in? He should be. You know?
Well, no, he's not in.
Well, he should.
Well, he might be in basketball.
His record's tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
He's a coach.
You know where Kerry really excelled?
Ken Munn. Oh, what was he?
volleyball.
As a coach or player?
Oh, coach, man, they had some terrific volleyball teams under Kincaid. Yeah. Kincaid coached baseball too. He's one of those guys that did it all.
But he was a good high school. Was it Ken Mundy? Where did he play at?
Oh, he played over somewhere.
Athens?
He played somewhere over south of Springfield, but he averaged like 37 points a game or some crazy thing. He was a shooter.
Mike, did you paint that picture behind you?
Yes, I did.
He did it right before we came in.
Well, it looks like the same flowers below that he must have painted from that.
I did. Actually, we bought that down at Arthur. At the, what's that called? Winter's Gallery. Becky liked it. It's a British painter gal. What's her name? Bonnie something, Montgomery. And she moved to Carmel, California and loved it, stayed there. But we liked the picture. We put it there and we tried to figure out something to go with it. So we just put those flowers below. That's a picture of San Francisco looking out of a window. She painted out in Carmel, San Francisco area. We really liked it.
All right. Well,
This is the statue of Bill Ingard I have on my right. Can you believe how
Bonnie Morrison?
Bonnie Morrison. Now seriously, from the same era, I want you to answer this paradox. You saw a picture of Bill and I from the same era. Bill was handsome, looked like Caleb. I look like my dad Homer when he's old. But look at us today. I'm better looking than Bill. How can that happen? How can that happen, David?
How could you be only? Well, I'm
Always
speechless, Mike.
looked up to him.
I'm speechless. Well,
I finally got Dave where he didn't know what to say. You can offend me. You can't offend Bill. You don't know him well enough, but you can offend me. I don't care.
yeah.
But David, once again,
I'm just trying to figure out what universe you're in if you think you're better looking than Bill Englehart.
Earth calling Mike. Earth calling Mike.
Well,
David,
you're both better looking than I am, so
yeah. David, I like the fact you really. I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, but I like the fact you mixed the times up. We went back into some wonderful photos that Bill and I both knew, and you went forward into when Bill was a teacher, the principal.
I did do it on purpose. I had about 200 pictures to choose from, and I tried to pick out a good cross section of eras. And
well, that's really interesting for us.
I came across a picture of you and a picture of Bill, and so I thought, well, if I got Bill and Mike in there, I got to find a picture of me, and so I found one with me in it.
Well, I have to tell you, I regret not just recalling every name, just boom, 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 like I used to be able to do. But it's been a lot of water under the bridge since that took place.
Names are getting, as you get older, names are getting harder for me. I know the face, we know the name.
If I'm told the name.
If you tell me the name, we know it.
I see yeah. If you tell me the name, though, I remember that person as a child. I don't necessarily see them as an adult now. That's really hard.
And I do like the building pictures, these iconic structures that we tie our memories to.
We got to figure out where that building was that was being torn down.
We would like to know what building that is, if that's in Tuscola.
It may not even be Tuscola. Sometimes we have photos that are not necessarily Tuscola.
Yeah, it could be Newman or someplace. But
right.
this is still fun, David, and try and get photos of me when I was thin, like 7th, 8th grade.
We've had a few photos of you when you were in high school and younger.
Yeah.
Had a picture of you with Santa Claus.
Yeah, I was about 7 years old then, I think, or 8. No coat on in the winter.
All right. Well, we are.
Listen, thanks for all this hard work you do, David.
Thanks, David.
We're past our time frame here, so thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on. You know what? Next week I'm going to be in out of town, so let me go ahead and pause this. We'll talk about next week.
Okay.
We'll see you next time on the Remembering Tuscola webcast.